All right, let's go. All right, Tim. I think we have to talk about the fight. It was a pretty good fight, I'd have to say. And I think they had orders not to fight.
Yeah, because you noticed that there was about 6 minutes left.
Yeah.
So they had to fight because if they fought after that, then they would get in trouble.
Oh, right? They would big time because they had to have the fight before the 5 minutes.
Before 5 minutes left in the game. But you saw Rempe look to the bench.
He looked at the bench. And after the fight, he went to the bench and gave the thumbs up.
So what you said, you wondered if Laviolette said to him, "Don't fight."
Yeah, Laviolette. They said, take it easy. The fans went absolutely bonkers. You see the players, the players were banging their sticks.
Well, in the first period, they were on the ice and they skated off, didn't fight, and everybody booed.
Yeah.
So you knew Reaves probably knew he was going to fight the night before, and so did Rempe. Even though, again, he looked to the bench and he almost looked to say, "Well, I have to now."
Yeah,
that's what he looked like. He said to Laviolette. So did you tell us the story the one time that you knew you were going to have to fight?
Oh yeah,
and kind of what goes through what would go through those guys' minds?
I was in Spokane, Washington, and it's kind of interesting how I got there. How I got there was I had a couple of beers with Claude Dufour, who was the goaltender that I had in Springfield. I was in Springfield. So we had a couple of beers. And Sammy Pollock brought me in, the smartest guy ever in hockey, as far as I was concerned. And he says, "Well, I hear you were drinking with the players." I said, "I went out with Claude Dufour." I said, I knew him in Springfield. And he said, "Well, we don't do that here." Well, I was brought there. I was going to be their coach. I was going to be their coach in Ottawa Hull.
Right. So this was in Montreal. And
yeah. And so he said, "Well, we don't do that here." And I said, "Well, I said I could lie to you and say that I wouldn't have a beer with the players again, but I would be lying to you." And he said, "Okay, you'll go to Spokane, Washington." Well, I said, "That's pretty good, Washington."
Yeah. You thought it was D.C.
Yeah, I don't know what I thought, but I heard Washington. I heard the name Washington, and that's pretty good.
Yeah, close to Hershey.
Hershey, and Rhodes is from Hershey. You can visit. And he says, "Oh no." I talked to players afterwards. One of the players afterwards, he says, "Oh no, that's Spokane." I said, "What the?" I call it Spokane.
Yeah, it does look like Spokane.
Yeah.
That was a long drive. I could remember. I was only, 3 or 4, but I can even remember that. That was a long drive.
We went up the mountain. So how that car lasted, it was a 1960 Pontiac Parisienne. And boy, it was
So you drove from Montreal to Spokane?
Yeah. Oh, Hershey.
To Hershey?
Hershey, yeah.
And then to Spokane.
And then to Spokane. Oh, boy. So anyhow, we had a great time, and when I got there, I was there one day, and nobody told me about they had a big brawl or something like that, and everything like that.
Well, should I tell about that brawl?
Yeah, go ahead.
So you came. It looked like you went out there mid-September, November. You went out there, and on Christmas or on Halloween. Spokane Comets had a huge brawl with the San Francisco Seals, and I guess it was Larry McNabb and your buddy Connie Madigan got in it, and it was so bad that the referee called the game with about 3 minutes left in the game. The coach, who was the coach for
Larry McBride?
Yeah, McBride got punched out by one of the San Francisco players. The police had to jump onto the ice and break it up.
Holy.
So
you were there just in time for the rematch.
I was really tired. I mean, I was really tired. And I got there, and at the end, honestly, there was a sign across the one end of the Cow Palace.
Yeah,
the Cow Palace. And it was Larry, no, it didn't say Larry. It said McNabb, heavyweight champion of the WHL. Oh, no. Don't tell me I'm going to have to fight this guy. And he was a big guy. He had big neck and big head and the whole deal. Anyhow, we got into it, and he hit me so many times on top of the head I couldn't comb my hair I had hair back then, and he broke his hand. What did you say, Tim?
Yeah, he said he broke his finger on your head.
Yeah. Oh boy. And
then you said, like, you just, because I went on to a news archive and I got a picture of it, of the fight.
Yeah.
And so you guys were kind of on your knees, and the linesman had a hold of you. And
when he was coming in to grab a hold of me,
yeah. And then Larry McNabb was kind of like, he was like not on top of you, but he was next to you, and he was up a little bit higher, and the linesman had him, and you said, you had a chance to pop him.
He hit me 22, and I had a chance after he was looking at his hand, and his hand was swelling up. Oh, geez, I could have just nailed him if I only had that 2 seconds. I could have hit him.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, I read in that article that he had a peace bond, a $500 peace bond, which was, I guess, that if you got in trouble, it was like, it's like bail, I guess, right? You get
and he probably wanted to say, I want to take this cherry. I got a baby face and everything like that.
And so he broke the peace bond. You had to pay. You got to not only break his finger on your head.
Would have paid it.
Yeah, you got a $500 fine.
Yeah, $500. That was big dough back then, boy. $500 was a lot of money.
Dad, as I said, every Saturday we get together and watch the game. I got to say, it is a lot of fun sitting with you watching the game. I learned so much in the sense of, anyway, your comments are quite entertaining and fun. But, I looked at you when Marner iced the puck, and I'm going, wasn't that a big no-no in your day? Like,
if you ice the puck, what you want if you're down 1 goal, what you want is you want a face-off in the other team's end. So now you win the draw, and you got the, and the coaches don't say a word. It's and every team does it. So it's not like just one team. Every team takes a shot at the net.
Well, they're trying. So they're trying to score. Is that it?
They're trying to score. That's what they do.
So why don't they practice, like flipping the puck up so that it gets out of the zone but doesn't make it to the end?
No, they'd rather score because you're a big hero when you score.
In an open net.
Yeah.
You're a big hero.
So Marner shot the puck, iced it, draw back in Toronto's end, bing, bang, in the net, 3-3, goes into overtime.
Yeah. If last night was a perfect example that he iced the puck, face off their end, they tie it up. And they tie it up after the face-off.
Right.
Just they had the face-off, and
which is what the other team wants is to have the draw on the other team's end to score.
I don't understand that. They put the TV cameras on, and they say
the coaches don't seem to
they
care.
don't seem to care.
Because it was like there must have been. It'd be interesting to go back in hockey time and find out when that happened. Because before it was big taboo icing the puck late in the game. Because I remember one time, I think we talked about it before, in Detroit. And I remember it was an afternoon game, and the Bruins were up 3-2.
I remember that.
And who iced the puck? It was
Del Smith.
And went face off in your end.
And Nicky Redmond, he let a shot go. I'm telling you, he lifted the net. That's how high.
If it would have hit the goal, he would have killed him.
And you would have killed him. And Cheevers.
So
ducked.
But then they put the camera on you. Like, which they normally do, and you were not happy.
I was not happy, so I went in the dressing room after, and was in the old Olympia, and I just walked around and nobody took their equipment off or anything. I just walked around. Just tell me why you were 3 feet from the red line and you iced the puck. And I'll never forget this as long as I live. He's a Shep Pollard for the puck. Shep Pollard for the puck? You were 3 feet from...
So he threw Greg Shepard out. It was Shepard's fault. Threw him under the bus.
It was Shepard's fault. I looked at Shepard, and he just put his head down. 3 feet from the blue line. Or the red lines.
I like when the goalie tries to score. I mean, I just don't understand the logic. But sometimes in the old days, the goalies used to really try to shoot and it was a big deal.
They were always up they were up by more than 2 goals.
Oh, I see. Okay, because I go, I get excited when the goalie scores.
No, when they do that, they usually 5-3 or 6-4 or something like that. They're they're up, and if it's icing, then they come back and they got a little room to work.
Yeah,
Okay.
not 3-2. And then he hit the post. Well, you got to admit, though, Marner hit the post and then it was icing. So, So what did you think of his goal in the shootout? Remember they think?
Oh, I don't know. It was on the border of him being in the corner.
Yeah.
It was on the border. Just I say that on the border because I was cheering for the Leafs.
Yeah, Joe Warmington sent you a thing and asked, did you think it was a goal? And
What did he say?
No, he didn't say what he was. He said, what did you think it was? And my thing is, it depends what the coaches do. Like if it was obvious, Laviolette would have went bananas.
Yeah.
But he was kind of like,
it was sort of like he was almost in the corner when he scored.
Yeah, because it looked like he lost the puck and then kind of semi-stopped skating.
Well, he lost the buck.
I don't we had a question before. I don't know if we have it here, but somebody asked you. He said, "Would you rather see longer 3-on-3?"
Oh, I would done 3-on-3. That's the most exciting thing of all. And shootouts, they're not. Shootouts aren't bad.
Yeah,
you know.
the bloom's off the rose.
Yeah. But if you're asking me, I would rather have them 3-on-3 for about 10 minutes. And you can't go over 10 minutes because the Players Association would step in then if they do.
Yeah, you make 90. You're like, Pedersen just signed a
Yeah, he
$92
just
million
signed.
contract. Imagine him skating for an extra 10 minutes after a game.
Well, he'd get 2 shifts in there.
2 extra shifts. So, yeah. Well, what did you think of him signing out that big dude?
Boy, that's something. He got what he wanted, and we'll see what happens.
You know what I think's coming more and more in the hockey media, especially in Canada, these insiders throwing out things that are not true, and just kind of stirring the pot. Like one guy, I'm not going to say who it is, but he's on Hockey Night in Canada, said, Vancouver, they're maybe thinking of trading Pedersen. There was no way they were going to think of trading him, because they have a chance to win the Stanley Cup.
No,
and they put it out there. Then it stirs up a hornet's nest on the internet.
Well, but I asked you last night. I just can't get over that they even play when they're not signed. Like I said to you, was there any Bruin?
They're signed up for the year.
Yeah, but was that ever happen with the Bruins? You never had that controversy of who was going for a contract and who wasn't, and
no, I never.
Well, the biggest one was Bobby.
Yeah, well, Bobby.
But it's like, I think when you coached, I don't think they ever signed a player during the season.
I don't remember.
There was never this controversy because couldn't that sort of cause an uproar or a controversy in the dressing room?
Well, they never had it.
Yeah, but I think in Harry Sinden's day and those guys, they signed during the summer. They never signed during the season.
I can't remember anybody.
And of course, you always signed before the season because you wouldn't want that pressure on you.
Didn't matter what I was making. I wasn't making much money.
Keefe got thrown out the other day.
Yeah, 25,000.
25,000.
That would have been my salary. No, I was making 45.
Did you ever get thrown out during a game? I don't think.
I did.
Did you?
I said if you give, I forget the referee.
Dwight Foster, they gave a penalty to.
Yeah, Dwight Foster at the red line. I said if he gives him a penalty for that, I said I'm going on the ice. I am going on the ice. And Peter McNabb, he grabbing me, holding me back. Peter McNabb.
Yeah, so you figure you got thrown out of the game. You were the only coach.
Yeah.
So Cheevers took over with about 5 minutes left in the game. I mean, the scorer was out of thing, but he was up at his...
Oh, that's right, because he had the pads on.
the pads on and everything.
But didn't.
And you stood on the bench. I remember that. Like, you hopped onto the bench and then hopped onto the boards. And
I was on the boards. I was ready to go. Jeez. I must have been nuts those days.
So I know we're kind of heavy on the Leafs this week, but I think Keefe's in a little bit of a pickle now. He plays Samsonov against the Stanley Cup champs, Vegas, and they get beat 6-2. And you said, he's really not that unhappy with Woll coming back. It makes life easier for him. So Woll has Arizona that was on a 14-game losing streak. They beat them. And then he put Samsonov against the Rangers, who's the third best team in the league.
Yeah.
So, if you were him, do you just keep going back and forth, or do you have to make a decision? Because there's only 20 games left in the season.
You have to wait till Samsonov has a bad game, and then you can play Woll going into the playoffs. Because Woll, he's proven he is a good goalie, but he gets hurt a lot.
Right. Because even though Samsonov lost, he played great, and he played great last night.
Yeah, he played good last night.
So it's a good, on one hand, it's a good problem to have. You got two good goalies, but on the other hand, somebody's going to get pissed off.
And the players know. I think they played harder.
Well, I was going to ask you that, Dad. Do the players play different according to who is in goal?
I think they did play better, or I don't hate to say better, but I think they played as harder when Gilly was in the net. Gilly Gilbert. And he said he had a record.
Oh, right. I thought you were going to talk about the Leafs. If the Leafs played better.
I somehow or other, I always switch around to the Bruins.
Oh, yeah. Well, as they say, it'll be interesting because you hate to see Samsonov kind of screw himself up, because he seems to have that. You know what I liked about that? Like he was playing terrible, right? And he was talking, I'm not mentally ready and I'm not in a good emotional place and all that. And, they had the psychologist talking to him in sports, and who straightened him out was his dad. His dad flew over from Russia and says, "You got a wife and kids. You got to start thinking about them. Snap out of it. Smarten up." So it's always good for fatherly advice to come over there and not coddle you. Snap out of it, smarten up. So, Cindy and Dad, we'd like to thank our sponsors, NorthStarBets.com. It's a Canadian-owned and the best place to play in Canada. They have everything you're looking for: slots, live dealers, live tables, sportsbook with built-in insight. And Dad, you're going pretty good. You picked Vegas to beat Toronto.
Yeah.
And it.
What is it now? What have I got now?
I haven't looked, but I bet you got to be at least 10 or 12-2. Yeah. So, and again,
smart.
it's not like you're going against, you're taking like Florida over, Arizona. Like you picked up, that was a big upset.
Yeah.
Listeners who have an account with spreads.ca, which was the original name, they don't have to do anything. Just sign into NorthStarBets.com. And NorthStarBets.com has a new exclusive offer to our listeners. If you sign up and deposit with the promo Cherry, NorthStarBets.com will match your first bet up to $100, and you get 100 bonuses on the big wheel. And if you get 3 of your suits, you get some big dough. And it's a limited time offer while quantities last, and it's not available in Ontario. And they've been very helpful with the Don Cherry Pet Rescue Fund.
Oh, for sure. I mean, over the last couple of years, they've given over $25,000.
Yeah.
Not that too bad.
So if you like pets, go to that betting site.
So last week we did a poll on Twitter. I guess you're supposed to call it X, but
yes. Keep up with the times, Tim.
Yeah. And we asked the fans, what Canadian team has the best chance of winning the Cup? And we had over 10,000 votes. We had 10,500 votes. And surprisingly, 32% said the Vancouver Canucks.
Well, I'd have to agree with them when they were going hot.
Yeah, they're in a bit of a funk now.
They're in a funk now. And you better be in it now and coming out.
Like you were saying, like Boston last year. Boston never went into a funk last year. And they went into a funk on game 1 of the playoffs.
Yeah, and you could just see, I don't know what it is, but you could just see I don't know what it is.
What happened, but they weren't the same team as they were in the regular season.
No, they weren't.
And, so you look at them, so Vancouver's in the funk. Then 29% said the Leafs, and then 23% said the Oilers, and 15% said the Jets.
Well, I don't know.
We did include Ottawa, Montreal, and Calgary because they're probably not going to make the playoffs, so... I don't know. Well, who would you pick?
I would pick Toronto. I'm going with Toronto. Yeah, I just hope Toronto keeps going.
But again, we're talking about it. Everything, not knocking Matthews, and I said he's the MVP, but everything he's touching is going in the net. Yeah, and you just hope that doesn't go cold in the playoffs.
Well, I just hope that Toronto does good because I'm picking him.
Okay, Dad, this is from Oiler Blue 67 from X. Okay, or yes. Grapes, can you give some love to Zach Hyman? He's second in the NHL with goals and with 40, and he's plus 21. How did the Leafs ever let him go?
I played for Toronto Red Wings, right?
Yeah, we saw him.
We used to go
when he was 14, 15.
Never. Ever. I thought he was going to be a good hockey player because I was the guy who was on him. Remember, he was blocking shots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was on. I think he's a good hockey player. Never did I ever dream he'd get 40 goals in the National Hockey League.
Well, and then I said he's making $5 million a year, so you better go. Wait a minute, Peterson's making 9 and I'm making 5 and I got more goals than him. But, I don't think it's, he does play with McDavid.
He plays tough.
But he's
in those goaltenders pretty good.
So why did the Leafs let him go?
I don't know. They couldn't afford him.
Oh, they couldn't afford him. Oh,
yeah, they didn't. They just couldn't afford him. But
for 40 goals, they would have shipped.
If he had known he was going to get 40 goals, they would have shipped somebody else out.